This is Gerald Johan van Waas and the educational channel of demonstrations related with the theory of sounding form, and it is a theory that shows you how we unconsciously use letter combinations as directions, and these letters direct you in a certain way of thinking, in a certain way of how things are formed. You can analyze this method, you can discover this method. This method gives you access to an underlying natural order that exists, which I also called the word, because I also have the opinion that this is the actual access point to what lies beyond the order of all things. There is an order that we can follow. We follow this order unconsciously, and we do. We really don't know how we do so, but it is analyzable. You can discover it, and you can change it into a method, and this method will give you access to this underlying hanging together of things. In this video I will give you some examples that end words that end with ear, written in different ways, ear or air, or similar endings, like in ear, dier, beard, bier, bear, dier, bier, weird, weer, but also paar, pair, pier, and pier. Let's go. And I will make it simple, and I will show you the access points. So they are very easy reference points. We see the things, we associate them, how they hang together. This hanging together is expressed in letters. Letters are actually very simple references that have a whole world of things that are not so simple as they are. The things in nature are simple, but they can be connected with a larger structure, with a larger world, and I also talk about that in my book. We start with ear itself. Ear, written as the E and the A. The A, a spatial, physical space. The E, a wider range of transitions, mostly in time, it doesn't matter now. The E, the insertion of something new, something that we adapt to. The is there as well. We have ear. It's not just ear, it's ear. So we have the there as well, which is a very physical connecting point, and the R, which are the connecting areas. So we connect the physical parts with mostly a time frame. So we connect the things that are have an order, and we give them an order in a certain time frame. That's basically what it is, but you can simply see them as connecting points. They're connecting the dots of what we have, of the letters that we have. So let's connect ear. So we have a written part, and we have an oral part. So the A and the E are the written part, and the E is the spoken part, and the spoken part gives us, should have a wider range actually of access points, but because of the in there, it's not ear, we connect it to just one dot where everything comes together. Even when more access points are present, we connect them through this direct point of ear. It's a very subtle difference. It's not an Irishman in Dutch, we call an ear. This is an ear. very subtle difference, focuses on one direct point where things are coming in in this time frame, on the physical, in the physical plane, where we will make a connection through this direct point. So we can understand it simply by taking these elements together. That's the ear. Dier, it's also a connecting point. We take it very vaguely now. So from a very large distance, we see a landscape, and in the landscape we recognize differences. We recognize the dier. The dier itself is not recognizable as the specific animal yet. I didn't work it out completely, but the first access point is this. It's in the landscape of what we see, in what we are checking. We check points that come out, the D, on a larger frame that we are giving access to, or accessing ourselves to, and then here we find the connection points, and these points with the sound E, there are different points that are coming in. So we have different points in our vision that we see. Oh here, oh here, 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 oh here. You can see different points where you make connections together. They are the starting point of recognizing that we have at a distance the dier. That's more or less the first access point for dier. Dier, my dier, is written with A plus A, not with double A, so not the large landscape. So we have just one single-minded, single position there, and there also something comes in and we make connection there. We make connection to our dier, much more than that. Weird, that's the W, you can still remember it. The A and the E are not expressed. We more express it as E, so we have the E there on the A frame. It could have been larger, but the weird, what we have already on the weird, could have been a bit larger, and that would have been more clear. But you can sense with this W and then the E there as well, there are insertions out, and then it's coming in all variations of insertions, and it is interconnected by this W. It is slightly weird that we don't see where it is going to, and that there is that they are well interconnected, and this is the weirdness there. The D is also moving positions, but the T is we point out certain positions. But these weirds, they're coming from everywhere, and the W also says that there are a lot of variations of things that hang together. It loosely hangs together. So coming in, we see a lot of distinctions because of the T, but they are also moving position. It gives them a weirdness. The word weer is Dutch, which means weather. It's much more simple. It means weather. So you again have this W. You have the A, the long double A, so a long area, mostly related with time frames. And then the R, the connection point. So we connect the dots of what we see as distinctive changes in the W on a time frame. So it is actually a very simple puzzle. You immediately recognize how we recognize and associate the weather. Without much explanations, you already have the frame, you have the connecting frame. Beard, it's the B, the A and A not just written down, the E as the sound, the R, and then the D is also not written, that is only written down, and then the T. So yeah, if you have at least 2 times things coming in or coming out, you have connecting points. You have the B of a pressure that's coming out in a way as well, and the D is the other way. It's the other way around. Yeah, there is a certain size again that is extending. So the T gives you a reference point of place, but also here the D says that there is a growth in this place, so it's not steady there. You have that in breadth as well. Breadth was a form that was getting bigger in size. Here with beard as well. The beard had that as well, so you can recognize the reference point for beard. The bear, you have it in different ways how you write it, and it's all with a different meaning. So the bear here is also growing in size, and the connecting points are growing in size. You can vaguely sense the tension which is building up here in bear, which is different from bear as to bear, because to bear it is not with A and A, but with A as a center point. So it comes together in the middle, and in the middle everything comes together. And so you have different sizes of pressure, which is more pressure in the middle and less pressure at the outer edges. So you can sense in the word and in the word combination with the A in the middle that there is a process of tension and different sizes of tension, and these are the connecting points we make with that. It's more clear with to bear. With the beer, I have to go back to it some other time. Then you have beer, also not immediately clear, but also this pressure. Something is coming in, but the B is coming out, so there is an interaction, and you have then the connecting points that makes up something from this process, and you can recognize it in beer. The beer is a reference to the brewery and the way it has been brewed, and that is what you sense in beer. That's the connecting point. Pier, the pier, that's the pier to eat. You have the P here, the A and A, not yeah, in Dutch it is pear, and in English it's pear with A-A, but then expressed as pear, a pear, and also there you can sense with the A and the A this two kinds of spaces that have a kind of variation in itself. So an evolving space and a space which is steady, the steady A, round form. The P, where something is pressed out, and then the connecting point. So you connect them together with the large word of pair. You connect them together at the end, but yeah, the pair as A is connecting as well. They are connecting from within the spaces, the spatial difference. There are differences in connection because something is pressed out. That's the way how you have access to the connecting points of pair. Pier. I had that before, but here I have it again. The P, the E, the long E, and the R, and they are interconnected with the R. They're interconnected, so the P is interconnected with the E, the large E, and the R you have there as well. I had it very steady there, as you can see. The pier could be steady if you focus solely on what the R should be. There can be still some variations, but the pier is understandable from that point of vision. It's different from the English. Pier is warm actually, but the English form, the English word pier means something else. It still has more or less the same form, but it has a different context simply because the context in the background is double A. Double A, so I have to take the double A with the same form. So with the same form in the double A and make that context. The double A is actually the background context of a process which is changing and which is in the background running and which are participating in it. That's the A. And what you have here is two out of this process of two comparable inserts, you have an out of the process comes just one result, and this is the comparison between this one result and the two different things that are coming in, the two different ideas that are coming in, or whatever. So that's the relationship in pier, which you can recognize in an abstract way. These are the access points. Paar or pair is the last word I take. It's so you have these that's the Dutch and the English word, the a, the double a, or paar. For paar it is in Dutch, and in English it is pair with a plus I written down, but expressed as I. So that will be a combination of a plus I, what is running in the background as a context, and the a is what is running in the process. But in the Dutch it's very simple. You have the P pressed out, the two A's, the double A which comes out, and you have the connection point between what is being processed, getting what you get out of the process, because of the P. Then you get two kinds of things, but they hang together because of the R, and that's paar or pair. And it's almost exactly the same thing in pair, solely as an expression in letters, pair. You can see there are two different directions that are pressed out of one pressure point or process, two different directions, and here it divides actually the directions. But because of the background of A plus I, as you can see there, we see the connections between them, and that is what we do. We make the connections of pair there. I hope these were some good example to give you an idea that the letter combinations can be pretty easy access points, are not too difficult to find as access points. It's less easy to explain them further or watch the details more. How does it evolve, or why is it like that, and so on. That's another layer that is not expressed here. This is just about a formation process which can be accessed and which are also connected with our way how we discover the combinations of letters, just as if we use them as a facial recognition form. It is the same way of recognizing how things hang together a little bit. That's something that I will explain some other time as well, how this system works in different ways, how it is used as a reference point of recognition. We recognize letters as well. We recognize directions. We have some vague idea and we follow this vague idea. It's much more difficult to explain why or explain how, but there are, as soon as you discover them, there are access points, as you could see in this video, and as you can also experience this if you let this go into your back of your mind and let it go. Have a have a workout of its own in your unconsciousness, your unconsciousness will make connections where there weren't, where you didn't have that idea before, and you make connections to find what is hanging together and what is not hanging together, to find it a little bit more easy or make them a little bit more accessible after a while. It just happens in the background. Let it go in the background. Don't overthink it. It will happen, and that's why I also talked about the word. The word is a living thing. We have an access to it. Only what we understand is accessible. Only what we make a connection to is accessible. All the rest is not. All the rest is unconscious and should remain unconscious. I think that's better to keep it that way as well. Doesn't matter. I mean, that's why when you make a painting, you shouldn't put everything that you do in making a painting and translate it into words. It's not necessary. You have to do it well. You have to make the connection to the right connection points. That's the main important thing. These words were about connecting points. Like in dier, it was very simple from a far distance. Okay, these are the deer. I can recognize them from a distance. That's enough. The bear, I recognize his power. I recognize his strong power. To bear, I recognize this, what I can handle and what I cannot. I recognize this. And if you don't succeed in doing so, go to the beer and have a beer. That was Gerald Johan van Waas again. This was another demonstration of letter combinations, how they are transformed into forms. There's a website too. There's a subscription possible, I think, on this YouTube channel, so please do so. Or now you can get more demonstrations soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.